Okay, we are back with a My Top 5. Now, this series is pretty self-explanatory. It is the series where I go through and I talk about my top 5 weapons in a particular class, usually giving out a few from events, talking about some that you can get from the collection book. In this one, because I really liked a lot of the event weapons, I decided I was going to list off 3 of my favorite event weapons and then 2 melee weapons you can get from the collection book. Now, this was actually a super hard list to make because melee includes a lot of different things. It includes swords, it includes scythes, it includes spears, it includes clubs, it includes axes. There are a lot. Those are 5 different things, all of which are completely different. Nobody uses spears, and I rarely see people using axes or clubs, so I'm gonna ignore them for this video, and I'm gonna just focus on the swords, scythes, and hardware. But even then, even just within these 3 classes, it's really hard to choose a clear winner because different weapons are really good at different things. With that, cue up all the comments saying my picks aren't truly the best and I can't compare these because I'm gonna hop into my top 5 melee weapons that I like to use, and I'm not gonna say they're the absolute best, but they're my favorite. Also, you guys, if you are enjoying these videos, if you want to see more weapon reviews, hero reviews, Fortnite reviews, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore, but if you want to see more of my videos and want to support this channel, 1, you could totally subscribe, I would love that, but then 2, I have a creator code, which if you guys want to support me and what I am doing, go ahead and use creator code Iolaus in the Fortnite store. But with that being said, let's just hop right in. Oh, and a quick note to throw in here too before I get started. Melee weapons are, in my opinion, the one class where that 6th static perks makes a huge impact. So with these weapons, I would try to invest my resources primarily in the melee weapons that provide you with a 30% snare for 6 seconds. Why? Because that snare is going to slow the enemies, and those enemies are usually going to be really close to you when you're using a melee weapon. So go with the snare, go with the slowing, because that is absolutely huge. With that though, we're gonna hop right on into my favorite event weapons first. So these are gonna be the honorary mentions. I'm not listing these out in any order particularly. In fact, I don't even know how to come up with an order for these because again, these weapons are so different. But the first weapon I want to talk about, an event sword, the Spectral Blade. Now, this sword is definitely my favorite sword now. I used to go with the Masumi, but nope. This is the one now. This is the one. Now, the primary reason I just absolutely love this blade is for its heavy attack. It's basically just a mini Dragon Slash, and it costs 30 energy, but I will pay that. I will happily pay that for this heavy attack. I mean, you just can't beat the mobility and the damage that you get from a Dragon Slash. Also too, this weapon has one of the fastest attack speeds. It's not the fastest. The fastest is actually on my list, but it's slower by 0.01 seconds. So yes, the Spectral Blade is not the fastest, but it basically is like right there. So it's fast. This allows you to basically just slash and dash your way to a victory so fast. And I must say this weapon is just beyond amazing. Now, there is a slight caveat, which is that this weapon does only come as energy or physical or water for the element. I think that's one of the small downsides, but I mean, I would be choosing energy anyways. I'm a huge fan of energy weapons, so this sword literally doesn't have a downside. It's the best. It's just the best. But that is it for the event item swords. Let's hop into the next weapon that I really enjoy, the Walloper. Now, this is a hardware weapon, and this is another one where the utility of the heavy attack is just what really sells this weapon. I like never play melee based constructors because I just haven't leveled one up enough to really make good use of it. But this weapon is one of the reasons why I plan to start doing so soon. The Walloper, while it doesn't have, you know, the highest DPS, it is still a solid weapon in of itself. It does what it's meant to. You hit Hus with it, then the Hus die. That's awesome. But that isn't what makes this weapon so useful. The reason I just absolutely love this weapon is for its heavy attack. And not only does it function as an effective AoE damage source, but it also provides a very immobile character with mobility. And that's super important. This is huge when playing a constructor like, say, Steel Wool Sid, where otherwise you don't have a clean way out of some sticky situations. Now, you can just leap to safety and run away, because sometimes running away is better than being dead. And so that is why I put the Walloper on my list of favorite melee weapons, is just because of, again, that unique heavy attack that allows for a slightly different playstyle and makes something that would otherwise be somewhat difficult to play a lot more viable and fun. Then for the third event item that I absolutely love is the Neon Scythe. Now, this has just everything I like in a weapon. A ridiculously fast attack speed, faster than all of the other scythes. It has a beautiful heavy attack where you just kind of like spin in this whirlwind, and that does amazing AoE damage. It is phenomenal. All those little husks gathering up around you, you can kill them in like a second. It's great. And yeah, I mean, other than that, you swing it, husks die. It functions as a melee weapon. It does what it's supposed to do, and it is just all around good at it. Now, the one downside is you can only use energy on this weapon. It is an energy only weapon, but it is still fantastic. And like I said earlier, I'd be using energy anyways. So again, where's the downside? I don't even see it. I just absolutely love this scythe. And with that, those are my 3 favorite event weapons. So when events start rolling around again, keep an eye out for those, because I just absolutely love them. But with that, I think we need to hop into the 2 melee weapons that I think you absolutely should get from the collection book if you don't have them already, or if you're planning to use a melee based hero. So we are going to start this off with another hardware weapon, in this case the pulverizer. Now, I do not have this one leveled up at all because, well, I suck, but that is in the process of changing right now. The pulverizer is actually a fantastic weapon and is basically just a better Doomhammer. It hits super hard, but then it also deals a lot of knockback to hit those husks away from you. This can be clutch when paired with something like a snare effect, as you can create a little bit of a safe space between you and the husks you're fighting, and then get the chance to just pulverize them as they slowly work their way back into your safe space. I gotta admit, I'm not the biggest fan of the heavy attack on this weapon, but it still provides a nice area of damage, assuming you don't get wrecked during that whole wind-up thing. But other than that, when it comes to getting a hammer out of the collection book, this is the one I would personally most likely get, just because it's phenomenal. So now I just gotta level it up to make it viable in something higher than a level 15 mission. And we're gonna finish this off by hopping into my favorite sword from the collection book. The sword that I think you should research from the collection book if you only have one choice and you have to have one. And I guess this is the one that I would choose then. But anyways, that is going to be the Stabworth III. Now, first off, you may notice that I don't have this weapon leveled up again. This is because, well, I don't ever really use mine. Ever since the start of this game, I've always used my Masumi, and then recently I have started using the Spectral Blade, which are really my 2 go-to swords. But those are not available to everybody. Not everybody has those swords, and if you need a sword and you don't have those, well, this is probably the one that I would turn to. Why do I think it is the best? Well, because it is the fastest sword in the game. This allows you to just dish out the damage, lay down those husks, and I mean, what more could you want after that? That's basically what a sword is meant to do, and it does it, and it does it well. So that is why I really like the Stabworth III, just because it's got a high DPS. And well, DPS isn't everything with the sword. When you're right up close to the husks, the faster those husks go down, the less damage they can do to you. And as you level it up, you modify it, it just gets better and better. But with that, that is it for my favorite weapons, my favorite melee weapons. Again, this one was super hard to do because what's gonna be best is completely dependent upon the hero you're using, the style of gameplay you want, the heavy attacks. A lot of this stuff ends up being actually personal preference. So when it comes down to it, melee weapons are probably one of the categories where I would say the most personal preference comes into play. But yeah, these are my favorites. These are the ones that I use or would be using, and so I hope you enjoyed that. And I would also love to hear from you guys too. What are your guys' favorite melee weapons? What heroes are you guys primarily using, since the type of melee weapon you use is going to depend a lot on your hero as well. I would love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts? What do you guys enjoy? And with that, I think that's it for the video. So, as always, I'm Iolaus, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.